Hi everybody, today we're going to check how you can manage multiple identities using CLI for Microsoft 365. So what's it all about? Let's say this is me and I use my terminal to connect to my favorite tenant, which is the dev tenant. This is the favorite tenant of every developer where everything works. And I have a single account, I log in over to my tenant. Let's say when I'm preparing a product, an app or whatever, a script, I tested out over multiple accounts depending on the scenario. So one time I log in as an admin, other time I tested over an app or using an account that has less privileges. And this is pretty slick and a simple case. Only a couple of accounts and a single tenant, easy thing to manage. But the problem gets bigger when you start to manage multiple tenants. Let's say maybe these are your client tenants and you're like an admin of a multiple M365 tenants, or maybe this is a stage QA prod tenant that you also maintain. And of course, you have multiple accounts to those tenants as well. Now, probably that means you are in a constant sign in and sign out loop to switch to a different account, and you have to remember a bunch of different passwords, and you are constantly confirming this MFA prompt. And this may be a bit frustrating. That's why in CLI for Microsoft 365 we found a solution to this problem, which allows you basically to log in once to all of these places and using all of those accounts, and then just switch the connections. Therefore, no passwords and no more sign in sign out loop, which is pretty neat. And before we do a deep dive on this feature, we need CLI first. So how to obtain it? Since it's an npm package, you can use the npm install standard command. Please do remember you should install it as a global package, or you can use the yarn global add command, or you can also obtain it over Docker and using the docker run command to get our latest image. Okay, and today we're gonna do a showcase demo about how you can manage multiple identities using the pretty new M365 connection commands, which basically allows you to manage multiple places you are logged into, sign into. So you can list them, remove them, you can use, so basically set which one of those is active, and therefore all other commands will respect the currently active connection and will be executed over this account, over the second identity. And you can also set it, so modify its name to make it more friendly and something you are familiar with. Okay, and to help me showcase this feature, I will ask my friend and a fellow maintainer, Martin Linkstall, to go about the details. Okay, let's go. So hi everybody. We are here live with Martin, one of the CLI for Microsoft 365 maintainers. And okay, probably Martin, I already introduced you a bit, but maybe you want to tell something a bit about yourself. So stage is yours.
So hi everyone. I'm Martin Linkstyle. A very hard to pronounce name. It's some people used to say. It's Linkstyle. I'm a Microsoft 365 architect working from the Netherlands. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the development category, Microsoft 365 development. And I'm of course a maintainer for the CLI together with Adam, which is an awesome job. I really like scripting, so this is why I work on the project.
Perfect. And you, if I recall correctly, you were one of the authors, so like the creators of the thing we are going to talk about today. So connection commands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So why did you want to create those commands? What problem does it solve for you? Why we need those commands? Why you want to do it? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of commands that I write up as a spec are actually things I think of when I'm thinking about how can this tool be better, or how can it be improved so that I can work with it better. So a lot of it is sparked by my own problems I'm having when working with it. But
obvious.
Yeah, obviously. So I'm working from a consultancy company. So we're working with multiple customers. So I could work with multiple customers each day, and it's very annoying to have to log in and log out from every customer tenant that you're working with. So this really
probably not everywhere you have the same password, right? Not that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 everywhere. So remember those passwords, those MFA turned on. Yeah, I understand it.
Yeah, and these days it's even harder because we have to fill in our app IDs and tenant IDs every time we sign in. So it is, and of course it's not only for situations like mine, but there's a lot of people like information managers that are working with multiple tenants. I mean, you could be working with a test and production tenant. We have lots of customers who have that. You could be working with a multi-tenant organization, which is a feature lately being released by Microsoft. So if you're working with a multi-tenant organization, you want to manage all those tenants. How do you do that when you have to sign out and sign in every time? This quickly becomes very annoying. And of course, also, I mean, in a personal scenario, you and me both, we have dev tenants, like we're developers for at least a part of our job description. So we need to work with dev tenants because we don't want to work with our company tenants all day and test things out. So working with a dev tenant and your company tenant in just one session, that's very annoying as well. So this is the concept where the concept of multiple connections comes in.
That's right. And in my case, sometimes it's multiple accounts to the same tenant. So one time I want to check something as a total admin of a site, and the other time I want to check like over an app that has a restricted amount of permissions to see if some script will be working beforehand before I deploy it to my QA and then production tenant. So it's a perfect case to test. Yeah, to test it.
Absolutely. So let me just share my screen so that we
Yes,
can just get
perfectly.
down
Let's
to the
go to the
money.
code. This is what we are
The
here
code.
for.
Yeah. So this is my terminal. This is where I spend a lot of my time.
Really
So
clean. I
yeah,
like
really
it.
clean. I just ran the clear command, so it would be clean, which is what I do a lot of times. But okay, so let's go and see what's in here. I mean, you can also look it up in the documentation on the site, of course. But there's a connection group of commands that we have with which you can manage and see what connections you have. So the concept of a connection was, we came up with that because we were thinking about, okay, what word can we use? Is it an identity or is it something like, I mean, it has to do with authenticating. But it's like we're connecting to a tenant and we're connecting using a certain identity. So this is why we came up with the word. And as you can see, there's no add command. Like with a lot of our command groups,
Yes,
we've got add.
exactly.
So we're missing
So
that here. And this is because a connection is added when we sign in. So we use the M365 login commands and a connection is automatically created for us. So if we just run the connection list command, for example, currently you'll see I'm currently signed in with one connection, the demo tenant of my company. So if I want to add a new connection or if I want to sign into a new tenant, I'm just running the M365 login command. So let me just run it. I've just copy pasted it here for ease of purpose. This is wait a second. This is wrong, of course. This is me signing into my developer tenant. So I'll have to wait for the device code flow to continue.
So
It's on my other screen.
Favorite tenant of every developer, our own tenants. Everything works there, right?
Everything works. Everything's perfect. Okay, so I've signed in, and as you can see now, I'm signed in using my blimped dev tenant, using the device code flow. So if I run M365 connection list again, you'll see I now have two tenants signed in. This is really awesome. So you can see you can see which one is active. This is the one on the bottom here, martin@blink.nl. So if I'm running like commands now, like M365 SPO site list, I'm getting a list of sites from my Blimp developer tenant. So this is a very cool thing. So now having these connections, the question is how can we switch between them? Now there's a command.
What if I want to go over the domain I4U, right? Account.
Yeah. So there's a command specifically for that, and it's called M365 connection use. You can see it in the list at the top of the screen here. And I can specify a name, for example. So in this case, I should specify a name, but the name is right here. It's a GUID. So by default, when we're signing in, it's using a unique identifier. In this case, the object ID of the user in Entra. It's using that as the name. And this is very annoying. I mean, we would have to copy and paste it here. I mean, this is not good. We can.
Yeah, usually you won't remember this one. Not meaningful, right? So, for us, at least humans. Maybe Copilot understand it.
Yeah, this is bad. But we can use it, and we're now signed in using the other account. So if you now hit connection list, you'll see the active part has been toggled. Now
Perfect. So now, if we would run any other CLI command, it will be over the first account, so the admin demo i4u account, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. No logging out, no logging in, no more passwords, just changing the connection using the M365 connection use and specifying the name, which is currently the GUID, but still, it's really a lot easier than logging out, logging in, password, MFA, blah, 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 and 3 hours later, you're logged in. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, you can see how marvelous this is. Now, I've got a third one here. I mean, this is, I'm currently signed in with 2 users, but you can also sign in with the application identities, for example. So what I often do is write a script, and I'm writing it so that it can run one day in the cloud. I mean, for example, in a
when it grow up and eventually.
Yeah, when the script is fully grown. I mean, you don't want to run everything time and time again on your own machine. Let it run in the cloud. Let it stand on its own legs. But you want to test it out on your own tenant, right? I mean, you want to test it out on your own machine first. And of course, the APIs behind Microsoft 365 sometimes work differently when you're signed in as a user or when you're signed in using an application in app-only mode. So we should also want to try this out using an application identity, and we can. So I've copied it to my clipboard, and here it is. So this is an app that I've installed on my developer tenant, and it's logging in using a certificate with a password. You can see how safe my passwords are.
You have numbers.
If I hit enter now, so now I'm logged in with the famous some CLI automation app that I can use to run all kinds of commands. So I can get my site, and I can see, there's a site to get. But if I want to run SPO site list, I believe it will fail them because
you don't have the permission
set on the app. Yeah.
So if you now run the connection list command, we will see that now you're active over the connection, which is this app. So it's a perfect use case that you can be connected using multiple accounts to the same tenant, but one time as a user, other time as a, for example, over an app as an app. So it's a perfect use case to test out your script before it grows and goes to the cloud and start working on his her own, right? Script its own. Whatever. Okay, perfect.
So there's also some interesting candy here. Like if you run M365 connection use and we don't specify the name, it will prompt us to select one.
This is perfect. So my favorite behavior of CLI, interactive by default. This is the thing I love.
Yeah, but as you can see here, I mean, the big problem here is it's still showing some IDs which are not really intelligible to me. I mean, I forget those things at the moment I'm seeing them. So this is not really helpful. So how can we work with that? How can we change that? That's the important thing. So we came up with the idea of a connection set command. And the connection set command allows you to update the name of connection. So if we just let's see which we have, and then we can, for example, use, let's see, the CLI command, the CLI automation app, and we are giving that a new name. And we hit enter. And if we now run a connection list, we will see it has a nice
this is perfect.
So this is awesome. So if we run CLI, if we run connection use now, we can see that there's a really nice name in the, right here. So of course this is this is a lot of work. So logging in and then changing the name. So we've added an extra command that if you want to log in, you can also specify the connection name right here.
Okay, so you don't need to do it using 2 commands, but when you're logging in, you can already specify the name, and then the connection comes, and you get a new connection as a result already with this name, which is meaningful to you, not to a machine like a GUID. This is perfect. So Okay, so we log in to create a new connection. We have the list, we have the use to specify which connection will be active and now will be used over other CLI commands. We have the
Mhm.
set to change the name to make it meaningful for us. But then we have the remove. So obviously it removes a single connection, but we also have in CLI the log out command. So what's the difference here? What's the difference between if logging in creates a new connection, does the log out what's the difference between connection remove and logout? Why have two different commands?
Yeah, so we wanted to keep it simple. Like if you log out, you log out. So actually, what it's doing when you log out, you log out from all your tenants. So this is
Okay.
really a big command that just removes your entire all your connection in one
So it's
go.
like when there's fire in the room and you have to quickly run, but you
Yeah,
don't want to leave your authenticated accounts on the logged in machine. Just okay, M365 log out and you run.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
All right. There's a hacker in the room, and he's taking over your screen. Quickly around M365 logout. Yeah, so the N365 connection remove is of course much more granular. You can just remove a single connection and just be done with it. Much
Okay,
easier.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's it. I mean, we can talk about it a lot more, but it's probably mostly about how famous and how awesome it is. For me, this is really a game changer. Like, it's an awesome way to work with multiple tenants. You do have, if you write a script, for example, in migration scenarios, it is important to realize that any command you run will run under the active connection. So if you want to switch between tenants in your script, you would need to specify that in your script. So we don't have
Hmm.
a connection um, option that you can specify on every command. Like, for example, if we want to specify or get a SPO site from, if you can get this site and then, for example, get it from a specific connection, that's not possible. It's really like always executing in the context of the active connection.
Hmm. Hmm. So it's first setting the connection and then doing
Yeah,
everything else. I think
absolutely. Yeah,
it's making less confusion and it's making the script a lot clearer. Okay, I think that's
yeah,
about everything about this functionality. It's really awesome. The coolest thing about it, what I love, is that it was actually created because you wanted to resolve your own problem that you have at your own work. So I would say the more problems you have, the more cooler functionalities we'll have in CLIs. I
yeah,
won't
yeah.
wish you more problems, but still, I love new functionalities.
Awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
I do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin. I think it's a really awesome demo, and you rock.
Awesome.
See
Thanks,
you
mate.
next time then.
See you next time.
Okay, Okay. really awesome. And before we wrap up, just one thing I wanted to mention. So Martin showed a couple of ways you can log in using Microsoft 365. So you can log in as a user using the device code, browser, or password authentication types. The device code is default, and the device code and browser are recommended because then you can use the security features like MFA, which browser supports. You can also log in as an app, and then you can use the certificate or secret authentication types, or we also have the identity authentication type, which should be used when CLI is used in Azure resources area. And since CLI now requires you to log in over your own Entra app registration, please do remember to start with M365 setup command, which now will not only make CLI your own and prepared for your dedicated case, so are either tailored for scripting or interactive, but will now also help you set up, so basically create this Entra app registration on your tenant, so CLI can use it for the login command. Okay, and if you need any kind of other support or further support in this feature, please visit our talks. You can also open up an issue or discussion on our GitHub repository or visit and join a discussion in one of the two Discord server, the CLI for Microsoft 365 Discord server or the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community Discord server, and there's a dedicated chat regarding CLI on this server as well. And please do remember that on the last Monday of every month we have office hours, which is a safe, not recorded call. You can join and ask us any kind of Microsoft 365 at least related question. Okay, happy coding, everybody.